Members, this is not an easy vote for many of you. I know that. It's not an easy vote for me either. But I think that there's been some very valuable insights that have been brought forward, both in the questions that were asked of Representative Renner and also in much of the dialogue that we have heard. I think that this program provides meaningful benefits, yes, but they are meaningful benefits that we can come back and have a dialogue and create additional programs that continue some of the values that have made some of these programs successful at a later time. What I can't overlook is the fact that a majority of these programs have failed. I've listened to many of the questions, and for me, when I go through the analysis, when I went through the staff analysis in particular, this is what shocked me. I looked and I saw the terrible rate of return with millions and millions of dollars in corporate incentive programs. We look at the urban high crime area job tax credit program, which includes tax credits and millions of dollars to Universal Studios, because Universal Studios is a high crime area. I don't know where the high crime is happening at Universal Studios. It's not happening at Diagon Alley, maybe Nocturne Alley. I know that's a shady place, but this is wasted money. It's wasted money. The capital investment tax, according to staff analysis, says we get 43 cents back on every dollar that we invest. That's not great. The new markets development program, 18-cent return on investment for every dollar. The high impact sector performance incentive, we got just 1 nickel back for every dollar in taxpayer money that we invested in that program. The quick response training for economic development, 9 cents. International Game Fish Association World Center, we didn't even break even. We lost 9 cents for every single taxpayer dollar that we invested into this program. And the list goes on, but this is one of my favorites. The Quick Action Closing Fund, which we know is a slush fund for the governor to be able to entice businesses either to come to Florida or to stay here if they're threatening to leave. And I think the major problem with that is the reality that, well, at first we're only getting 60 cents on every single dollar from that program, from the governor's slush fund, which is what I'll call it. But also, it sounds a lot like the disastrous carrier deal that was negotiated by the Trump administration only a short while ago, where Carrier was threatening to move 2,100 jobs to Mexico, and they demanded millions of dollars in government incentives. And so the Trump administration responded by giving them those millions of dollars, only to find out that Carrier was still going to go ahead and take more than half of those jobs to Mexico anyway. To me, I feel like much of these corporate incentives are essentially holding the state ransom for taxpayer money. And when we offer them these incentives back, it's like we're paying ransom money to these hostage takers. I think that we can find a better way, and what I would ask the members to challenge themselves on, because this is the way, I told Representative Renner this in the member lounge, that I'm going to evaluate how we appropriate and how we spend taxpayer money, how I'm going to vote. I'm not going to look at it through the prism of, well, none of this money is getting any benefit whatsoever or any economic impact whatsoever. We can't say that about EFI. But I think the real question is, what other investments with these taxpayer resources are we going to forego because we are investing in programs like EFI? I would challenge this body and say, what about the return on investment if we raise Florida's minimum wage? I think that that is a major return on investment. And I know to your point, because you mentioned yesterday and many times, that this is an idea that Bernie Sanders progressives can align with Ted Cruz conservatives. Obviously, that spoke to my true progressive heart. But what I would offer, just along those lines, is exactly how I would see we can make investments that will actually grow the economy. Because when we increase the minimum wage, what we're doing is we're putting more money in the pockets of working people who live paycheck to paycheck, and then they spend every single penny of that increase in minimum wage at a retail store, at a grocery store. And that creates a job right behind that desk. And then that person goes and they spend that money, and so on and so forth. And that is one of the ways that we can go ahead and we can grow this investment. And the other thing that I just want to say, one more way that costs us nothing, because yes, I am going to go here. There are so many things we can do to bring businesses here. Beautiful beaches, yes. A wonderful environment, yes, to raise our families. Great public schools, although we can do better.
Representative Smith, you need to stick to the bill at hand.
I will. We should be thank you, Mr. Speaker, I will. And it's about bringing businesses here because of how well we treat people in our state, and I will leave it at that. And I know that the Speaker knows what I mean, and that we'll be talking about that later. But, Mr. Speaker, I applaud you for bringing this bill forward. I think that this is a good way for us to bring down spending and stop giving out corporate incentives. I'm going to be voting up on this bill. Thank you for bringing it forward, Representative Renner, and thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your leadership on this issue.